Thanks for joining us on ntTV Nightly News. I'm Michaela Goose.
And I'm Andrew Fancher. He pulled the trigger in the fourth deadliest school shooting in U.S. history, killing 14 students and 3 faculty. It happened 3 years ago, and today he pled guilty. Nicholas Cruz was 19 years old when he entered Parkland High School in Florida, armed with an AR-15 styled rifle, and began shooting. Now 23 years old, Cruz pled guilty to 17 counts of first-degree murder and 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder. This happened in a Broward County courtroom with families in person and over Zoom. Cruz addressed them, saying he was sorry for his crimes. His trial now moves to the sentencing phase, and prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty. And the last victim from the Timberview High School shooting has been released from the hospital and is in good condition. The 15-year-old was shot on October 6th when Timothy Simpkin pulled a gun from a backpack during an argument on campus. 4 people were injured and are now out of the hospital. Simpkins is out of jail on bond and under house arrest.
Nearly 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. October kicks off Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we have ntTV's Taylor Davis at the Union with more information on how you can support those affected. Taylor?
Thanks, Michaela. Along with breast cancer awareness, October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This month is dedicated to supporting the victims and raising awareness on the topic. Domestic violence is one of the most chronically underreported crimes in America. 74% of Texans have experienced some form of domestic violence. Although it is prominent in women and men, it can also occur in teens and children and takes many forms. UNT is hosting a clothing drive and are accepting donations in the Union, room 411, to help the victims of domestic violence. If you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, please contact Campus Police to make an official report. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Taylor. Now, Michaela, sweater weather has finally landed in Texas, but is it here to stay?
I don't think so. Monday was 48, now it's in the 60s. What are we doing, Texas? Jasmine Carrillo can tell us all about it. Jasmine?
Thanks, guys. Well, we aren't experiencing sweater weather just yet. It is unusually warm for the fall season. As you can see behind me, we have beautiful cloudy skies, but without a drop of rain in sight. Getting a first look at your current conditions, we are sitting at a warm 81 degrees with wind speeds of 20 miles per hour southwest bound and cloudy skies. Looking at tonight's conditions, we are sitting at a cooler 62 degrees with mostly clear skies and wind speeds of 10 miles per hour northbound. Getting into tomorrow's conditions, we are pretty consistent with today's temperatures sitting right at 81 degrees again with sunny skies and wind speeds of 20 miles per hour northeast bounds. That's all for your first look. Back to y'all in the studio.
Thanks, Jasmine. Now, social media is constantly changing, including the most popular app, Facebook. Now, you're good. Are you on Facebook?
I'm not. Facebook was never really my thing, but I am on Instagram. And now I think Madison McFarland has more on some new changes Facebook is making. Madison?
Well, after 17 years, Facebook might be changing their name. Speculation is that the company wants to be seen as more than just a social media platform. They plan to focus more on the metaverse, where digital avatars can walk around and interact with each other from across the world. The rebranding of the company may be a result of various rumors regarding the spread of misinformation. CEO Mark Zuckerberg plans to discuss the rebrand at the company's annual Connect conference next week on October 28th. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Madison. Up next, a murder mystery from the swamps of Florida.
And with today's technology, you can airdrop photos, contacts, music, and more. But now you can have medications airdropped right to your door. More when we return. For a month. Laundrie's parents contacted the FBI and local police stating that they would be at the park where he was last seen in efforts to find their missing son. Earlier this morning, Brian Laundrie's belongings were discovered at the park, prompting a Sarasota medical examiner and cadaver dogs to be called to the scene. Florida law enforcement officials say they are now doing a more thorough investigation of the area. And William Davis has been convicted of killing his patients at a Texas heart hospital. 3 weeks after the trial started, the former nurse was found guilty of capital murder.
We, the jury, find the defendant, William Davis, guilty of capital murder as alleged in the indictment.
During the trial, there were multiple testimonies from family members of the victims. Prosecutor Chris Gatewood referred to Davis as a serial killer being in the hospital. Defense attorney Philip Hayes acknowledged Davis lied to the hospital leaders during the investigation and states that being dishonest does not make a murderer. The trial now moves into the punishment phase, where the jury decides if Davis will receive life in prison or the death penalty.
And the investigation continues tonight into the plane that mysteriously burst into flames near Houston. Sophia Ojeda has
Massive
the story.
flames and large clouds of smoke billowed into the sky after this passenger plane skidded off the runway into a fence at the Houston Executive Airport in Brookshire. Miraculously, no one killed or seriously hurt.
This is actually a day of celebration for a lot of people, not only for the passengers and crew, but for this community.
DPS officials tell KPRC2 the plane attempted to take off around 10 a.m. when it skidded off the runway about 500 feet, crashed into a fence, but never left the ground. 21 people, including a 10-year-old child, were able to get off the plane, had already made it to safety when the plane burst into flames.
We're not sure really why it caught on fire, not sure if it was because it hit the structure, but we are waiting on the FAA, and they're going to be able to give us more information on the particulars of the actual crash.
People who work nearby lost power and came outside to see the smoke over the horizon.
We came out, we saw smoke over the trees over there, pretty thick smoke.
Emergency responders from all across the area came in to help. They were able to get to the plane because of a dirt road nearby.
A plane that doesn't make a landing on the runway like it should, we're always expecting the worst but hoping for the best, and today we absolutely positively got the best outcome we could hope for.
The National Transportation Safety Board will lead the investigation into the crash. And we're all doing our part to maintain the environment, right? Well, these two companies in Iceland are slowing down the climate crisis with an unexpected innovation: carbon-sucking fans. In an effort to remove as much greenhouse gas from the atmosphere, Swiss experts at the Orca plant will use vacuum-like machines to literally suck the gas back in. Orca currently removes about 10 metric tons of carbon dioxide every day, which is about the same amount emitted by 800 cars per day in the U.S.
Well, Andy, with climate comes weather, and I really hope this weather cools down in time for Halloween, my favorite holiday.
You know, while it's not necessarily my favorite holiday, I am dressed in my winter colors, ready for it to arrive. And I believe Jasmine has the latest on if that will come true. Jasmine?
Thanks, guys. Well, these warm Texas temperatures are here to stay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the beautiful Apogee Stadium. Those clouds are looming, but with no chance of rainfall in sight. Getting into our current conditions across North Texas, we are situated well in the mid to low 80s, with Graham leading at a high of 87 and Sherman with a low of 79. Looking at your current conditions across Texas, you can see we are well situated in the mid to low 80s once again, with Houston at a high of 87 and Amarillo in a low of 70. Getting into our 7-day forecast, you can see we have beautiful clear skies headed for your week. We have a weekly high of 87 and a weekly low of 59. That's all for weather. Back to y'all in studio.
Thanks, Jasmine. You know, it really has been such a nice day, and Andy, the sky looks so beautiful and cloudy too.
You're absolutely right, but I believe that residents in Frisco and Little Elm will have an added bonus to those clear skies. ntTV's Camille Ryan is outside of a Walgreens with more. Camille?
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm actually outside the Walgreens in Little Elm, and I bet you can't guess why. Residents of Little Elm and Frisco are going to be some of the first customers of Walgreens to experience their new store-to-door delivery service. Walgreens paired up with Wing, which is a drone delivery company. The drones can deliver snacks, sodas, prescriptions, toilet paper, and even an at-home COVID-19 test kit to a home within the 4-mile radius of each location. This service is being offered at 2 Walgreens, one in Frisco and one right here in Little Elm. The Little Elm location is on 2774 East El Dorado Parkway, and the Frisco drone delivery service includes the Star campus of the Dallas Cowboys. Walgreens says they will begin testing the service next week. Walgreens will be the first retailer to provide drone delivery services in a major U.S. market. These drone deliveries are hoped to minimize traffic congestion. That's all I have right now. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Camille. The Canadians have done it again. A food truck in Canada is getting creative with social distancing. East Coast Don Air and Grill is delivering their food through a remote control car. They hitched a trailer to the back of the car with the food inside and delivered it to their customers. The unique delivery service is a big hit with their customers, especially the younger crowd. Don Air says they will continue to do this type of delivery during the pandemic.
When we return, COVID-19 continues to pose a threat to the greater good.
But luckily, children can have more protection as the White House approves vaccine rollouts. Stick with us.
There's new data that the vaccinated and unvaccinated may want to hear. At Wednesday's White House briefing, the CDC director said that people who are unvaccinated are 6 times more likely to contract the COVID-19 virus. Additionally, unvaccinated people are 18 times more likely to be hospitalized and 11 times more likely to die from COVID. This data comes from different parts of the country during the month of August. And while this may sound unsettling, officials revealed that COVID cases and deaths in the U.S. and internationally are down this week. And vaccines for kids ages 5 to 7 could become a reality very soon. On Wednesday, the White House announced they are ready to administer the vaccine after securing enough for 28 million children. We have Daryl Forges with more information.
Vaccines for kids ages 5 to 11 could be just weeks away, pending the FDA's authorization and the CDC's usage recommendation. Now the White House is getting ready. The Biden administration says they secured enough vaccine supply to vaccinate 28 million children in that age group.
We've already enrolled more than 25,000 pediatricians, family doctors, and other primary care providers to administer vaccines. And we're working with states and localities to enroll more.
They will also offer vaccines to kids at school and other community-based sites.
Kids have different needs than adults, and our operational planning is geared to meet those specific needs, including by offering vaccinations in settings that parents and kids are familiar with and trust.
Building that trust will be a major part of the White House's rollout plan as they launch a national public education campaign that will include pediatricians, schools, and faith leaders.
We have a role to play in ensuring that parents have accurate information, and that's going to be really one of the keys to making sure that they can get the vaccine and ultimately protect their children.
Health experts say getting kids vaccinated will play a major role in ending the COVID-19 pandemic.
In the era of Delta, children get infected as readily as adults do, and they transmit the infection as readily as the adults do.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
One of the ongoing questions about fighting COVID-19 seems to center around wearing masks.
And UNT isn't allowed to mandate a policy regarding masks. Luckily, ntTV's Jose Alonso looks at the issue in tonight's Your Health segment.
That's right, Andrew. As we adjust to COVID-19, there seems to be confusion whether or not to wear a mask when it comes to enforcing a face covering policy. One county has been in the spotlight for its mandate. Students need to understand the guidelines regarding COVID-19. There seems to be confusion among Governor Abbott's mask ban and UNT's mandatory testing. This isn't the only place where the public is confused. Maricruz Ontiveros travels from Dallas County, where mask rules are also complex.
Coming into classrooms, I was expecting to have like COVID procedures 6 feet or a couple seats away from people. In Dallas County, you see people put on their mask real quick before they go into the store. And Denton, I don't really see that.
Dallas County has been the center of attention in Texas. COVID's impact within it led to ICU beds beating capacity, especially during back-to-school season when children were most vulnerable. Dallas clinics are seeing how opinions on masks and vaccines are having on the public.
The impact on Los Barrios Unidos staff has been huge. A year ago, all of us were heroes and on the front lines and getting a lot of support from the community. And we still are getting support from the community, but unfortunately, we're still fighting things like folks wearing masks. We're fighting things like people not wanting to get vaccinated.
With vaccine stigma on the rise, the Dallas County judge ordered a mask mandate, which was quickly challenged by Governor Abbott. I got to speak to Judge Jenkins on the way to a hearing.
You know, in coming up with that mask mandate, we listened to what the doctors here locally at the big hospitals like UT Southwestern, Baylor, Parkland, and the health department had to say. And what they told us is, if we wear our mask, our numbers will go down. And they did.
Are you worried about COVID's future at UNT in Dallas County?
That's my concern. What UNT is going to look like in the winter months coming up. And for Dallas County, the same. I really think the winter months are going to be really difficult with dealing with COVID unless we come up with some clear and concise COVID instructions.
While Governor Abbott banned schools from enforcing students to wear masks, UNT highly recommends we follow CDC guidelines. But ultimately, the choice is yours. Back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Jose. Well, guys, I heard UNT is up for some big changes in the world of sports coming up.
That's right, Michaela, and our very own James Baker is here to tell us all about it.
That's right. After the break, the college sports world is ever so changing. The NBA is now officially back, and the race to the World Series is underway as we speak. past few months have been absolute chaos as far as college sports realignment, and now UNT is being thrown in the mix. To help break it down, I constructed a graphic as things have been moving very quickly. Here we see the tier system going on with the SEC at the very top with schools such as Alabama, LSU, and Arkansas, which UNT beat in football during the 2018 season. Just had to throw that out there. The SEC has expanded to 16 schools by adding Texas and Oklahoma. To help cope with the loss, the Big 12 is poaching 3 schools from the AAC, Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston. And now due to this, the AAC is in dire need of a rebuild as they're seeking to expand to 14 teams. Now 6 teams from the CUSA have submitted applications to join the AAC. These schools being UAB, FAU, UTSA, UNT, Charlotte, and Rice. This is a developing story as the AAC is expected to send each school a formal letter detailing the terms of expansion by the end of the week. Last night marked the tip-off of the NBA's 75th season. For their anniversary, the NBA is releasing an official list of the 75 greatest players of all time. One of the headlining players announced so far is Dallas Mavs legend Dirk Nowitzki. Last night, we saw the Milwaukee Bucks take down the Brooklyn Nets and the Golden State Warriors shine against Los Angeles Lakers. Tomorrow night is Mavericks tip-off as they take on Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta at 6:30 p.m. The Mavs are seeking to continue their winning streak as the team achieved their first undefeated preseason in franchise history. And the ALCS is now tied at 2 games apiece between the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox due to some 9th-inning heroics by the Astros last night. In an even ball game at 2-2, the Astros came alive in the 9th inning, scoring 7 runs to win the game 9-2. Game 5 is currently underway. The winner of the 7-game series will advance to the World Series, where they'll be playing against either the Atlanta Braves or Los Angeles Dodgers. That's all I have for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, James. Now, moving is never a fun task, but for this Canadian couple, they proved that there's no river wide enough to keep you from your dream house. Keith Goodyear shows us how.
This house to me was something that I always loved and dreamed of owning. And it's just, I don't know, it was the little greenhouse on the point that I loved it. I talked about it to my friends, my family. Everybody knew that my heart always belonged to this house. And now that I was given the opportunity to take it and move it to our own location and make it our own family home is more than I could ever dreamed of. It was being torn down. So instead of it being torn down, we just said, we'll take it and make the best of it. See if it can withstand the water, and if it's meant to be over there, it's meant to be. And according to yesterday, it was meant to be. My father moved lots of houses on land, so we knew that when I asked him, he said, yep, it can definitely be done. And Kirk's brother, Kerry, we asked him, he floated a little boathouse out to his cabin, Breaks Cove. So we talked to him about it, and he said, yep, everything, you just got to get the barrels, you got to get all your stuff lined up, jack her up, and do everything, and then put her in the water and try it.
Well, Michaela, luckily I don't have to worry about moving houses. I'm still on a dorm budget.
And I don't think my entire apartment building is flotational. Thanks so much for watching ntTV Nightly News.
Join us again tomorrow night at 6 here on North Texas Television.